Hey everyone, thanks for joining us today. Today, Shane and Lex are going to be going over how to silently install Dropbox on your network. If you have any questions at any time, as always, you can ask them in the chat window, or you can email them to me at webcast@adminarsenal.com. If your question's featured during the webcast, we'll send you some PDQ swag, such as this lovely little PDQ shot glass, or we also have rocks glasses available. Nice stuff. And now turn it over to Shane and Lex.
Hey everybody, I'm Shane.
And I'm Lex. It's lovely today. Thanks, Annalisa.
Shut up.
What?
You know what? Dropbox.
Yeah.
This has been a pain in a lot of sides of a lot of sysadmins.
Sides, that's an interesting choice of words there, Shane.
The side of many a sysadmin.
Oh. I would
Is that-
have
that sounds
picked
better?
a different body
Yeah.
part, but yeah.
Now this has been a pain. Dropbox has been they got into the enterprise business by offering Dropbox for Business several years ago, but honestly they still treated their installation like it was a
Personal kind of
yeah,
thing.
it was like they were still marketing to consumers instead of to businesses, and you just see a sweet little stroll down Google and you'll find so many different complaints over the years of how do you install this silently to all users. There were some really nasty workarounds. I say nasty, I mean there were some ingenious workarounds. Some of our customers had said, hey, here's how we're doing it. We didn't want to offer that in the package library because there is still too many movements.
Yeah,
honestly.
a lot of moving parts there, and
I'm
one of those
doing
can...
this. I'm all doing this
I'm going
and
to
showing
do
the
this to make
movements.
it much easier.
Yeah, let's do some, cheers. Thanks for pouring that.
Breakfast of champions.
All right, so we're gonna show you Dropbox. Now, it was
Once again, you've all probably played with this.
Yeah,
and it was a personal install, and I'm talking over Shane.
it was a personal install. It actually still is. If you download it and you install it as a non-admin, it's going to say, yeah, I'm just going to install this per user. Now, when we say installed per user, there's a lot of companies, a lot of you folks out there, you sysadmins probably have maybe a call center or certain computers that are used by more than one person. Maybe there's a swing shift and then there's a graveyard shift, and they'll all have Dropbox and they'll have different versions and it's difficult to maintain, etc. So, Annalisa, by the way, Annalisa, JJ, go ahead and put the blog post up there for Dropbox as a reference.
It is. It's down in the description.
Oh,
There
great.
you go.
Just right below the YouTube video.
Well, let's jump on it. We are now offering it in the package library. So it's...
Now you can install it per machine instead of per user.
How about if I actually leave PDQ Inventory and go to Deploy, go to the right application.
It is
Yeah.
early, isn't it?
So you go to your package library, you'll see Dropbox.
D.
Yeah.
Dropbox.
Well, I was in the update, so let's just make sure. There we are. You'll see Dropbox. We're doing 388. Now we're going to show you a couple of different scenarios here, a couple of different use cases that you might run into.
You've got the never been installed case.
Yes.
You've got the
never been installed. You've got it's been installed per user, so it's installed once or more times. The previous version's installed once or more times. We're going to cover a few steps with those. Now, it's a very simple install. I'm going to open up Dropbox. It looks like I downloaded it twice. Let's delete that one. There we go. Rename that. Okay, so I've downloaded Dropbox twice. Thank you very much, Shane. You are a tool. It's a very simple one.
That was my line, buddy. You are a tool. Okay, simple install.
Yeah,
Back
this
at it, right?
this is the install step, right?
Mm-hmm.
Notice the parameters to make it silent / uppercase S.
This is the offline installer, not the web installer.
Yep. If you go to the blog post, you'll see a link out there for it. But when you go to download, once again, officially they're saying this is Dropbox for Business.
Mm-hmm.
So you can use personal accounts with this, as I've noticed, but you'll get a little link saying if you don't have a personal or a business account, hey, upgrade the Dropbox for Business.
Mm-hmm.
But it's the same Dropbox that you download whether you're a consumer or business. Just so you know. So we grabbed the offline installer, as Lex pointed out, very important. You want that. Look, it's a 48 megabyte install. You don't want the 1.5 megabyte install, just so you know. All right, but this is where the install is simple enough.
Mm-hmm.
But we're going to cover steps 2 and 3. I'm going to make this a little wider, JJ, just so you can so they can see
Basically,
that.
what to do if it's been installed and the user's logged on.
Yeah, and it looks at whether it's running on 32-bit or 64-bit. So it's only steps 2 and 3 we're going to cover in a second. It's pretty important. It's those 2 steps are there really if.
Again, users logged on and accessing their account.
That's right. So we'll jump into that. So first of all, and by the way, in PDQ Deploy, since we do have PDQ Inventory, I'm going to go to the preferences here for deploy, and you can see that we are doing a scan after the deployment. That way it automatically updates.
And just so you guys know, if you have any questions, feel free to pop them in. We'll get to those as we can.
Yeah, perfect. Let's do it. So we're going to do a Dropbox.
So should we do these in a couple of sections? Let's do one where we just do a plain install. It's never been installed, and then we'll do one and show what happens if the user's logged in and they have Dropbox.
Perfect.
Okay.
Thanks. You help me with the spelling here. We're going to do Schmendrick.
Schmendrick. Dude, I can't spell.
Hey, it passed.
All right, man.
All right, so we're going to deploy to Schmendrick. Obviously, you see me typing it in. You can, if you're familiar with PDQ Deploy, you can choose a lot of computers just using the choose targets.
Yep.
In this case, we're just typing them in.
As always, guys, these are computers and not people, okay?
Yep. I do like Lex's idea, though, of showing you different cases here. So we're just going to deploy to this one in this case, just one computer right now. And look at the status there. We are going to open up a remote desktop session.
Okay.
All right, so now it's installing Dropbox.
It's a good time to take a drink.
Yeah. Let's see if someone's logged on right now. I'm not sure if they are. If they are logged on, I want to do it to a machine that doesn't have anybody logged on.
Schmendrick? I don't think anyone's logged on to Schmendrick.
We'll find out.
Little Jeopardy music here, maybe?
I don't know.
Commentary of any type?
Let's do a quick scan. I want to scan the computers anyway.
I already did, man.
Oh, did you do that?
Yeah, I was
Good
on
man.
top of my game today.
Good deal.
So, again, step 1, installing Dropbox. Wow.
Let's open. Oh, there it is. Okay, so I'm going to click these steps here. All right. Yeah, no one was logged on to Schmendrick.
Yep.
That's awesome. So it just ran the first step, said it was successful. So if we go to PDQ Inventory and we see Schmendrick, open up.
Applications, there we go.
We're going to see Dropbox. Now, before people would say, I do see a lot of different Dropbox. This was back in the day when, it was always installed per user. They'd see Dropbox, but then it would go away. It would only show the Dropbox if they scanned the computer when that user was logged on, because it was installed per user.
Per user, okay.
But here's a quick telltale that Dropbox is not installed per user. And that is, if you see it installed, notice the uninstall string. I'm going to make this a little wider, JJ. There we go. If you can see this, the program files.
Yep.
If you see it in C program files, you know it's been installed. Now let me see if anybody's logged into Carla, because Carla is a computer that currently has
Dropbox installed and a Dropbox user.
So logged on as regular user here. Notice there's Dropbox. Let's see if. So the machine Carla is logged on by the user REG. It stands for regular user. It's a non-admin user. If we open up Carla, notice version 386. Look at that uninstall string. C users reg app data.
There we go.
So we know that this is installed per user. And of course, if I logged off of reg and then scan the computer, go away, because it's only that application is only available when reg is logged on. Okay, so we got an older version because the latest version is 388. There's 386. Let's go ahead and
we're logged in, so let's do a deployment to this while Reg is logged in.
Yeah, so Reg is logged in. Look, there's Dropbox is running. Notice you have down here. Now, I'm going to need you to zoom in here, JJ.
Make us disappear, buddy.
Yeah, I need to make us disappear. I need you to show the assist tray. This is the use case when somebody is logged on. They're using. They've got Dropbox running. And you can see there's a little Dropbox in the sys tray there, and it says it's 386, it's up to date, they're syncing, etc. This is what happens when you install this new version and
Users logged
the
on.
user's logged on. So let's go
and
ahead
it's
and
running. So
let's go ahead and show that. Go ahead and zoom back out.
we're going to launch that to Carla, and then
Yeah,
we'll watch it.
I said Dropbox. Hey, I'm Shane. I'm a moron. I'm
Lex.
highly
I'm
suggestive.
Lex, and he's right.
I'm highly suggestive to suggestion.
Good morning, Shane.
You're a dork.
Yeah, but you love me.
Such a strong word, love. Inappropriate word. Completely wrong. Hate would be nearer the mark.
Probably true.
Loathe.
Let's pop over and watch what happens on the remote machine.
Yep, so we're now installing. Trying to change it. And
Yes, I'm trying.
go ahead and zoom out again.
Yeah, we want to watch what happens down the Dropbox.
We
and
love
the sys
Lex's
tray.
Scott shirt, but let's move that. So, yeah.
So the majority of what your end user is going to see when this happens is maybe some little flickering of the Dropbox icon in the sys tray is about it.
Notice it's gone. So the user, unless the user was staring down there, they may not notice it. But what's going to happen now? It's running, it's installing Dropbox. Part of the installation, the native installation of Dropbox is it will stop any running syncing services. Okay? But,
There it is.
now it says if a user's logged on, they might see a flicker. You usually see this flicker more in something like remote desktop,
Yeah.
honestly, with what we're doing. But there it is. It's starting up. You can see the sys tray. You can see they're up 388, up to date. And let's look at inventory now. So Carla
Now with
should
that
have been
startup,
scanned.
it's going to start that sync again too.
Yep.
So basically, again, unless the user's watching the sys tray, and again, remote desktop blinks a little bit more, but they're really not going to notice.
For the most part, they shouldn't notice. And here's why we do that. Because since Dropbox does stop the syncing process when you're installing it, if we didn't start that again, then this user Reg on the machine Carla may not be restarting the computer forever, you know, for three weeks. And they may think that Dropbox is running and syncing, and it's not. So we're actually trying to make it a little easier on your users if you use the package from our package library.
Come on, we're deviating from my full contact IT philosophy.
Yeah, we're doing what Lex wouldn't do, which is generally a good...
Make it nice for your end users.
That's really a good benchmark. If Lex wouldn't do it, it's
Time out.
probably appropriate.
You think about this, right? I want them to know who's got the real power.
Really quick,
in the
before-
business.
we got a question coming. Notice that Dropbox is 388, and now instead of per user, there's that. It's in the program files. Okay,
I'm new to both PDQ Deploy and Inventory. What's the purpose of the scan after install? Does that automatically update PDQ Inventory? Nathan B. You called it, man.
yes, Nathan. If you don't have that set, so if you have both inventory and deploy, and you make we deploy Dropbox to a machine, inventory is only as good as the data here is only as good as the last scan. So if you don't have that setting in preferences set, then you would actually have to come out to inventory and scan those computers that you had just deployed to have the new changes take effect. Here we just try to remove that step. Once the deployment's finished, it goes out, scans those target computers. So if there were changes to applications that you made, they are reflected.
They're now reflected, yep.
All right, so now we saw what happened. Carla was fairly transparent. Carla's now running, or the machine Carla is now running the latest version of Dropbox. It's been moved over to a per machine. And we break this down in the blog post from, I don't know, earlier this week or last week, about the user level directory, the program files, etc. We kind of break down the changes if you're interested to go to that level.
So Shane, question for you, man. Let's say we're going to deploy to Carla. Carla's got a version of Dropbox. It's a personal version, but nobody's logged in. What happens then?
Or even if she doesn't have someone's logged onto a computer that has Dropbox, but they've never configured it, or they don't even have it. Let's do that. We're going to go out to a machine called Cunningham. How's that sound?
Sounds good to me.
Now, the important thing here, this is one of the use cases. Let's say that I'm a user, I've never had it installed, or I had it installed, I've just never configured Dropbox. But I'm logged on. Here's what's going to happen. This is, I guess, a downside. You want to deploy to the computer Cunningham used by the user, the dude. Let's deploy it. Yeah.
Send it. Launch it to the dude.
Launch it to Cunningham. You're
Yes.
just trying. You're just trying.
I am messing with you today, man. I love watching you.
Tool.
I liked the suggestive to suggestives comments.
All right, so we're going to deploy now. Since someone is currently logged on to Cunningham and there's not a previous Dropbox that has been used, it is going to run steps 2 or 3 depending on the Cunningham. I believe is a 32-bit, so it's going to run the 32-bit step, step 2, and it's going to say, "Hey, there's a user logged on. Let's start Dropbox." So this is once again the use case of users logged on. You're deploying this new Dropbox, but they've never either had it before or
Never been configured.
and this is what's they did. This basically means they will see something, because we're going to start Dropbox. So there's if you look at, I'm going to open this up really quick. This is our our package. We see the install Dropbox. Step 2 just says if Dropbox exists, then start it.
It's step 3, man. You're on.
Well,
today.
no, step 2, because step 2 is going to run on the.
Oh, okay. Well, you just clicked on step 3, so
Oh.
they're basically the same. Just one for 32 and 64.
All right, so now we're starting it because the user's logged on, and very
check that out.
important. Yeah, so they will see this if you pop out. This will also all of a sudden pop out. You want to zoom back out a little bit more?
So basically, it's set up Dropbox wizard.
Yeah, they can close it if they want, but once again, this will happen when you start Dropbox if
Not
They-
configured or never installed before.
and they're logged on.
Yeah.
I want to cover something very, very important of how we did that, because it's not just enough to start Dropbox in these cases. What we're doing, I'm going to go back to PDQ Deploy. I'm going to open up the package. Looks like it's already open. All right, so if you look at, here's step 2, we're going to look at the conditions. Step 2 says only run if the target is 32-bit, and of course step 3 is the same minus it's 64.
64, yeah. And
So-
only run if the user is logged on.
Yep, logged on state is, notice there's 3 options for logged on state. There's always run regardless of whether someone's logged on, and then only run if they are, or only run if they're not. We're saying only run this step if a user is logged on, and then adding to that in the options, we're saying run as the logged on user. This is important. If we go back to, I should have called this out. If we go back to the computer Carla, we're going to see that Dropbox is running as the reg user. If you did not set that and you said run Dropbox, it would start as the deploy user, which in this case is Quintana.
Yep, the
And
deploy credentials you
Dropbox
set
would be
up,
running as Quintana. The reg on Carla would have no idea that it was running because he wouldn't see it. It's running under a different user. So I want to call that out.
Yep.
Notice the same thing with Cunningham. Cunningham is going to be running as the dude. Dropbox is the
There we go.
dude because we started it as the logged on user.
Looks like we got
That's
another
the-
question, man.
Yeah, we have a question.
When reinstalling Dropbox, does it remove the files stored locally? So a full resync would be needed, or does it keep them and just do a file sync check? Part 1. Part 2, also, does it affect the file if Dropbox installs updates like you demoed?
Okay.
Douglas E.
And I do break this down in the blog from earlier. But to answer your question, Douglas, thank you. Very, very good question. Something that should be asked. No, in all of our tests, all of the files that were
local
previous,
files, yeah.
all the files that the user had set to sync, they still existed. Their sync preferences, if they had a selective sync,
Still exist?
in fact, we'll go back to Carla. Notice I didn't make any changes after the install. So Carla, this computer on Carla, Reg, has Dropbox, but I'm going to go to Dropbox. I'm going to right-click on the sys tray, and I'm going to go to the preferences. And if you look at the selective sync, notice those preferences were kept. In this case, Reg only is syncing public. He's not syncing the rest. So,
It does retain preferences, and it does retain the files at this point.
correct. Yep. Hopefully that answers your question. I'm actually quite impressed. This installation does break it down quite well. What it does, I want to nail this down. see if I can get there. This is a non-admin user. It throws in program files. It throws Dropbox. Now, there's Dropbox in program files. So the user generally doesn't have access to these files. This is for the system. However, each user that's logged on, I'm going to come over here and run app data. Remember, app data is a
variable.
It's a user level variable. Takes them to their home. If you go to app data local, is it local low or local? It's local. You'll see Dropbox. This is their database. This is their Dropbox database, not their synced files. This contains all the information about
The files that
their
are in
account
existence,
that they are using, the selective sync, etc. That's all stored in the user's directory. This is the directory, incidentally, where the old Dropbox used to be installed, the actual program. Now we move the program to program files. Their user's still here, but their Dropbox folder, that's the third part, that's actually right there, usually in users, the username, and then Dropbox. So there's three parts: the synced folders, the database, and the program files. In all of our tests, and I've done a lot of tests, Doug, or Douglas, there's been I haven't seen any problems, any hiccups whatsoever, and we are heavy Dropbox users over here.
Very true, very true. So
Yeah,
another
rock on.
question. What happens if after uninstall and scan the application still shows? How can this be corrected?
Okay, so this is what happens. That's a great. You guys are asking some great
Good ones
questions
today, yeah.
Seriously. So once we have, let's try this. Let me see. I can show this. Here's what we're going to do. Let me just close this out real quick. I'm going to go to a machine.
Costanza?
You want to go to Costanza?
I love Costanza.
And he loves
Loves
you.
you.
I'm going to go to Costanza. Costanza doesn't have Dropbox. I'm going to install an older Dropbox just to illustrate what's
Just for
going
the
on.
sake?
Mm-hmm. All right, so here's an older Dropbox, 386. I'm going to run this. Now, I am running this as, well, actually, I'm probably running this as administrator, so this might be a bad, 1 second, guys. We'll find out. Okay, let's go to app.
App data.
What we're trying to show based off of this last question that came up, there it is, Dropbox. Install, we're good. So I'm going to scan. Wait for a second. I'm going to scan Costanza in a moment. So we're installing the old Dropbox. It should be installed per user.
So we'll see it under that user, and then we'll log out, scan again, and you'll notice it'll disappear. Kind of a disappointed in you today, man.
Why?
Empty, not even
There we
touched,
go.
man.
So notice we've just we just ran the old install, an old version on Costanza. It's installed in the user Trixie, so it's installed as per user.
Yep.
So now we're going to log out. So this is another case. So you've got your users that use Dropbox, but you are a good sysadmin and you plan your deployments as much as possible after hours. And when I say good, I mean not like Lex.
Remember,
responsible-
show them your power, guys. Show 'em your
Responsible,
power.
competent, somewhat hygienic. So
Bathe once a week.
whether you need it or not.
Well, soap's,
Once again,
soap's optional, though.
there's the Dropbox 386. So I think what you're talking about, sir, if I deploy this and no one is logged on right now, we've logged out. I did log out, right?
Yes, you did.
All right. Yeah, that's important. That's important to this. If I didn't,
Yep.
so we're deploying to Costanza. So what's going to happen? The last time I scanned,
You guys saw that Costanza had 386.
and we'll see what happens here. So we're running. See if we can't time this right. You will show two different versions of Dropbox until that user logs on or starts Dropbox, I should say. Once they start, or if they log on and they've had it previously configured, it should automatically start. Once it starts for the first time after it's been upgraded, then the upgrade process per user
takes place.
Completes. Yeah, it says, hey, there's been a new version. I'm just going to convert some stuff here, remove this entry from the add remove programs in Windows, et cetera, and now you're running the latest version. So let's see. It's Cunningham. So now that we're gonna, let's see if we can't do this.
So you
No,
see,
it did it. I didn't do it in time.
yeah.
Yeah, because now now that I've started it up, it says, hey, you're per user. If you see that, basically, if you see that, you just have to have the user log back in.
Yeah.
Because if you have this installed 3 times, I'm sorry, if you have 3 different users that have an old version, and
2 of the users log in, and then it's weeks and weeks and weeks before the
another
other
one, it technically still going to have the old Dropbox. Once they log in, then when their account logs onto to Dropbox, it's going to say, "Whoa, stop! There's a new upgrade, and we have to change some things." And that's when you'll see only one version.
Yeah, it'll update the registry, places that we actually pull what applications are installed there. So
that's something. That's one thing that you can do. Just keep that in mind. Hopefully that answers the question. Yeah. You have another question?
is this package technique unique to deploying Dropbox, or should this technique be used with similar file sharing apps such as SugarSync, Box, etc.? Chad B.
I haven't used SugarSync. Now you've used OpenCloud, right?
OwnCloud.
OwnCloud. So the answer is, Chad, I don't know, but since most sync utilities like OwnCloud. I keep on saying open.
It's open source.
I'll turn it over to you.
Yeah. Since most of those are installed by user and configured by user, you got to kind of be careful with that. Again, unless they've got an enterprise by machine install, it's going to be kind of unique to Dropbox in this case. So.
Yeah, it took them years. As they say, all it took was a simple clubbing over the head. If you, once again, just take a little tiptoe through the internet at all, from our forums to just tech forums all over. How do you get Spiceworks? You can go ahead and find Spiceworks. Yeah, Spiceworks has this question all over the place. How can you get Dropbox installed for all users? And once again, there were a lot of different workarounds to try to make Dropbox look like it was enterprise. They finally have done it. It's out there.
And they did a good job, guys.
Yeah,
they really did.
Props to you guys. It's a long time coming, but when you did it right. When you go out, if you go out to the blog, once again, if you don't know where the blog is, there's a link there, but I'll just open up a browser. Go out there. If you want to go to our blog, just go to adminarsenal.com. Unless you blocked our site from at the proxy level.
Of course, man. Don't want anybody surfing that place.
And click on blog.
Yeah.
There's our blog. So this is the last one, so you can just actually click on that. You'll see a great breakdown of how we do this, but there's also, you can download the offline installer from Dropbox. There's a link. If you look at that, it takes you straight to dropbox.com to download that installer. So
again, it's a breakdown of what we've just taken you guys through, and it's a great blog.
If you're using the free mode, then you can run that first step, which is to install, but you would still kind of run into a problem if somebody is logged on at the time. That's why you'd need to convey to your users, hey, make sure that you download.
I was going to say, save yourself the trouble. Get Pro, get Enterprise.
So you follow that link, you'll just download that same offline exe that we provide. Are there any other questions? No?
Well, that pretty much covers it.
All right. Well, cheers. Well, okay, guys, let's go ahead and wrap it up then. Thanks to those of you who did ask your questions. You'll be hearing from Annalisa, I assume. And I'm Shane.
I'm Lex. Have a lovely day.
Rock on.
Well, everybody, thank you for joining us today and for all the great questions. If your question was featured during the webcast, if you will send me an email to webcast@adminarsenal.com so I can get that PDQ swag out to you. And we'll see you guys next Thursday.